whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
And thanks for joining us on this Monday on the Nikki Medoro Show. Yeah. Wearing my Niners gear. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you did not watch the Niner game, Kim McAllister.
No, but when I found out they won, I thought this is going to be a great Monday for Nikki.
It was such a great game. It was, John's like, I wonder how Nikki feels about the Niners game. It was such a good game. I think that if we came back after a bye week and didn't do well, a lot of people would have been like, shoot, like, all of the things that we thought about this team going to the Super Bowl or really like getting close to, if not there and winning it, is over. But we did great. Although I will say, for those that watched the game, that throw from Purdy to Ayuk, oh my God, I was like, it's going to be an interception, but it wasn't. Ayuk and Purdy seemed to be like kind of flowing together really well. So yeah, it was a great game. CMC did not break the record. He just maintains it with the most number of touchdowns in a streak. So he's at 18. I think he wanted to break it. They tried at the end of the game. They kept him in even though they pulled all their first string players because we kicked their ass. We absolutely did. So yeah, great game. It's always nice to be on a Monday after the Niners win. And yes, I am repping my team. We have a good show coming up today. We, of course, are going to touch on APEC, which has begun. It started over the weekend, but now people are going into the city. I was very curious of watching, the traffic reports, this morning. It seems as if people have been heeding the warnings, but who knows, as the day progresses, Wednesday is going to be the S day because that's when Biden is supposed to meet with China's president.
Yeah.
And so even though there's tons of security right now, checkpoints and everything, I can only imagine how much more it's going to be on that specific day. So, I'll give you guys a kind of a timeline coming up. Also, of course, it's an S show down in Southern California. The I-10, a portion of the I-10 is going to be shut down indefinitely because of a major freeway fire. And a lot of people are saying, there needs to be laws about how close anything can be, whether a homeless encampment, a business, whatever, near a major freeway. Because when fires like this happen, now we had, what was that? What was the stretch?
It was the Wood Street encampment in Oakland that an RV fire sparked a second RV and a third RV, and the whole inferno was right underneath one of the major connector ramps to the Bay Bridge. And I think it was 580, but the ramp, that connector ramp was toast. Remember, they had to shut it down and make sure it was stable, and the construction people had to come. Yeah, that was horrible.
And the thing is, I was reading, all these kind of social media reactions to the whole thing, and people were saying, if the city and the state would enforce these laws about you can't have a structure here, and that influenced how they can clean it up, because of course, we've gotten better with it, obviously. And obviously the city like San Francisco is trying to change the rules. But this whole idea of homeless sweeps and you have to move out, if it's law, like you can't have any sort of thing under these structures, that gives, authorities more power to move these encampments. Kind of to tie in APEC, of course, it's quite fitting that all of a sudden now everything's clean. And I love it. I'm really curious on how quickly. It's kind of like when you tell your kids to clean the room, right? So you tell your kids to go clean the room, and it's just so nice. And then it tells you how big of a slob you're raising and how quickly it goes back to being just a disaster. Is that what it tells
you? I'm raising a big old slob then.
Oh, and you know what? Is it your boy or your girl?
It's my girl.
It's my girl too. They're gross. Like, what the hell? I swear, my daughter cleans. I make her. I go, you cannot do anything. And then I get pissed off because if I have to go in, the annoying thing about my daughter's bedroom, pardon me, is her lamp is all the way by her bed. And so I have to maneuver through garbage and books and stuff on the floor to get to the lamp because she can never turn off the friggin' light, right? And so every time I do, and if I step on anything, if there's a plate or a cup I kick, my anger shoots up. I'm like, damn it! Clean this friggin' bedroom.
Here's what I don't understand. I never did this, and I don't understand how I could raise a child that does this. When she has garbage, she just throws it on the floor.
Oh, yes. That's exactly like my daughter.
There's a garbage can in her room. Oh, no. I've seen her do it.
It takes too much effort. Way too much effort. Way too much.
They throw it wherever they are. Not in the world, like not on the street because they love the environment. But if they're in their room, it just gets dropped on the floor. It's infuriating.
Yes.
Like, I've never been the kind of person where if there's garbage in my hand, I feel like it needs to go where garbage goes. That's in the garbage can.
Yeah.
It's not
my
on the
son's
floor.
room is totally clean most of the time.
How are we living here?
In comparison.
Yeah. Beverly Hillbillies?
Towards the end of the show, if we have time, I want to actually get to this story that kind of has to do with what we're talking about with his parents, kids living together, the rules. And I want to debate kind of, is your kids staying home as adults the same as failure to launch? And has the current situation of affordability, housing prices, wages changed your thinking on what it means for adults to still be living with their parents when there's no health issue or any sort of other reason to stay home? It's simply like, I like it here. I can afford to stay in my parents' house. But does that mean that you have failed to launch? So we'll talk about that. But yeah, I'm trying to raise my kids to be not slobs. Now, I will fully admit, Kim, I am not a neat freak. I am not. I totally admit it. Most of the things that are like on my floor, it's laundry. It's always laundry. Like that is, the towels, the laundry basket is overflowing. I haven't put my clothes away, that sort of thing. That is, my daughter's room is miles ahead of grossness. And I love my daughter, but it's just, I don't know how you live in that. But yeah, I'm just going off on that right now. But yeah, it's going to bring it back to APEC. I really do wonder, is San Francisco going to go back to the S-hole in some of these areas that are clean right now? If it's clean now, keep it clean. Keep it clean.
This is a perimeter, right? They've set up a perimeter whereby no one is allowed in. You can't, it's going to be, they're going to do background checks when you walk into
you have to do checkpoints. Absolutely. They're not going to do immigration things or anything like that. But yeah, you have to have ID.
Right. You have to have ID. The Secret Service, the FBI, whoever's here has to know who you are because there's dignitaries and world leaders from all over the place. Yeah. So they can't have assassins and whatnot, right?
Right. You have to know who's in the perimeter.
And so to do this, they've shuffled all the homeless people somewhere else. Well, the minute the perimeter goes down, back they come, right?
Well, but again, like the fact that they were able to, and this was all no extra funding. And this is what gets to me. No extra money has gone to cleaning up the streets, hosing down the streets. It's all within our budget for right now. Why can't we just keep it up? Why do we have to let it go so badly? I don't understand it. It's going to piss me off. And yeah, it's very, very annoying. Let me just hold on, just to mention on the side note of the kids' bedrooms. Eric says, time to get smart bulbs, Nikki, so you can turn off the lights without going into the room. You know what I wanted? As a clapper? Yes. As a Christmas gift, I want to get my daughter the clapper. Not for her, for me, because she's still going to friggin' forget to turn the damn light off. But at least I don't have to
and stand at the doorway and
over and be like, I've never had a clapper. Have you? I don't know how well they work. And I don't even know if they make them still. But all I keep remembering is that old lady in the commercial trying to go to bed. And she'd be like, and then she pull the covers over her head.
My mom used to have a lamp that was metal at the bottom, and you touch it like a touch lamp.
I still have to make my way over to the damn lamp. A lot of
you still have to
have those. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm going to try to get something in there. And yes, Lori, it is dry garbage, but there's a lot of cups. And the other gross thing is my daughter loves to keep the Diet Coke bottles. She keeps them. I don't know what it is about kids. My brother used to do the same thing, like cans of something that they drink all the time. They save them and it's like they're displaying them. I guess as adults, people would display their bottles of booze, but I'm like, you don't need to show that you're drinking way too much soda. How about that? I don't have soda in the house, so she always brings it in, but pisses me off. But anyways, okay. So APEC, the I-10. I'm gonna have an update from Caltrans. They'll show you exactly what's going on down there. And then next week, of course, is Thanksgiving. Oh, and what's also happening? Oh, a possible government shutdown.
Oh, God.
So November 18th, the government could shut down again. I doubt Mike Johnson is going to be able to get it together, although apparently he has a couple of plans to do so. But if you are flying on Thanksgiving, I don't know, man. It might be bad if they don't get it together. They're expecting the highest number of people to fly over the 5-day holiday in nearly 2 decades.
Wow, that's a lot.
Think about that. Around 4.7 million people are expected to fly over the Thanksgiving holiday. And again, that's the highest projection in nearly 2 decades. So
makes sense. I mean, COVID, the pandemic is over, even though COVID is not gone. And I guess we're just not worrying about it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And so people are like, woohoo, let's go home.
Yeah. I'm not flying. I'm hosting, which is going to be a show in itself. I feel like it's hard. And leading up to it, I definitely want to show you guys my dessert idea that I got offline, off Instagram or some sort of thing. So I'm really excited to make that. All I have to do is keep my son, because it involves crescent rolls. My son keeps eating my crescent rolls. And I go, stop eating them. They are for my dessert. And he's all, just buy more. And I go, I don't want to keep buying crescent rolls.
He makes them? He makes crescent rolls?
Oh my God, Kim. He makes an entire tube and then eats it all. These are my children. And
whole tube?
Most of them, but yeah, he'll eat like 6 crescent rolls. And I even pulled him aside. I'm like, do you know? And I don't try to food shame my kids. Right. I get it. You know what I mean? Crescent rolls are delicious.
How many rolls to a tube?
So there's 8 rolls to a tube. And I show them and guess how many calories per roll? And I don't like to food shame again, but
they should be aware they're overeating.
They should be aware. I'm like, look, I'm like, it is 100 calories per roll. And I'm like, so if there's 800 calories in this tube, and I just throw, I'm like, 2,000 calories is your daily allotment. You're almost eating half of your calories in bread. Now, of course, kids can do that, right? Okay, kids can eat an entire tube.
They're probably
fine.
So that's a problem? Yes, that's a problem.
I was like, Dilly, you can't. But you want to know the worst thing?
But he's eating it for a snack. He's not eating it for dinner, lunch, or breakfast.
No, he'll eat it. That's he's like, I just want crescent rolls for dinner. And I'm like, no, you can't have crescent rolls. You have to have protein. You have to have a vegetable. But he made it he didn't make it this time that I'm talking about as a snack. And I was like, you can't have them all. You cannot eat it. He's like, I'm not going to eat them all. I'm like, you're full of shit. Sorry. I'm like, you're totally going to eat. You're totally going to eat all of these crescent rolls. And so he ate 6. I had 1. No. He ate 5. I had 1, so that's 6. And then he threw away too. And I was like, why did you throw them away after I opened up the garbage? And he's like, I didn't want them. I'm like, do you think that nobody else in the house would want to have a crescent roll? Like, why didn't you? He's like, nobody wants a cold crescent roll, Mom. And I'm like, there's a thing called a microwave. And he's like, that's just not as good. I'm like, I love how you determine how wasteful of food we are going to be. So yeah, he's not doing that
At least
anymore.
You got one kid trying to clean up. That's all I have to say.
Dylan's pretty good. Marley is a slob, but they're both terrible with plates. I mean, you definitely have to. Eric says, as of a few years back, the clapper was still available. James suggests putting in a motion sensing light switch. See, I don't like the smart devices, but John says I have a Wi-Fi plug and I turn my light off with my phone. Now that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool. Let's see.
Clap up.
The clapper. Liz says my son has a floor lamp with a remote control. So Marley's lamp in her room it only works with the remote, and there's something wrong with it. It's not working anymore. But again, I think that's lame. Like, you know how often I lose a remote and now it's the only thing that turns on my light? Guess what I'm doing? Sitting in the dark all the time. So it's we're gonna have to find something out. Oh, thank you, Doug, for the $5 super sticker. You are amazing. Well, let's get some business out of the way, given that Doug has donated.
Oh, that's my fault. I did that.
So I was like, why am I hearing myself? Thank you, Doug, for that. All right, so click the thumbs up button, guys, to show your support of the show. Make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure you like and subscribe the show. Why do I hear myself?
I'm fixing it.
Okay, good. Make sure you like and subscribe the show. Make sure your friends are subscribed to the show. Share it with all of your friends. The super chat, be like Doug. The super chat is live. Just look for the $ under the live chat box. And you can donate during the show. You can donate during replay. And every little bit helps. But say it with me, people. The number one way to support the show is to become an official Medorable, and that is donating to our monthly Patreon. And if you could break it up, I say this because it makes sense to me. So, every show, whatever you could tip us every show, just put it in a one-time monthly payment and go to the NikkiMedoroShow.com to do that. So our Patreon link is there. PayPal, there's the long one right there on your screen. But really, just go to PayPal.com, click send money, and the email address is the Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. We have merchandise on the merch site, the NikkiMedoroShop.com. I'll be making more things just in time for the holiday season, so you'll want to go there. But yeah, any way you could support us, we really, really do appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to do some headlines. Also coming up this show, there was a great interview with Barry Manilow that I found to be fascinating with Chris Wallace on CNN. And one of the things that was funny is, how many of you knew how many commercials Barry Manilow wrote that are ingrained in our psyche?
He's a jingle, one of the jingle writers.
He's a jingle writer. So I have some of the video on that. And then speaking of, donating to the show, some DoorDash drivers, and I thought it would have been the opposite, but some DoorDash drivers do not like the prompt to tip that's been added. It's kind of like a pilot program on the app. And I'm wondering what you guys think about that. If you're encouraged to tip, do you do it less? So we'll talk about that as well. And of course, we'll talk about that whole failure to launch thing. And the reason I thought about it is there's a football player, a quarterback, that admits and is kind of bragging about the fact that he still lives with his mom. His mom still makes his bed. Now, that's a personal decision on her part. He is a rookie quarterback for the NFL. So he is an adult. So
can you imagine how much crap he gets in the locker room about his mama making his bed?
I wonder how many people in the locker room have their mama making their bed. You never know. All right. So again, click that thumbs up button. Let's take a look at some headlines with Kim.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And good morning on this Monday. It feels like it should be a holiday, but it's not. That's annoying. Doesn't it feel like it should be a holiday to you?
Every day feels like it should be a holiday to me, but
not a holiday.
It's not a holiday today, except for my husband.
Past it. That's it. It is, unfortunately, it is day 38 of the war between Israel and Hamas. And over the weekend, we had word of a potential deal to free the hostages being held in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirming reports that a deal might be in the works, telling NBC's Meet the Press the chances are better the less he talks about it. So
yeah, I can't keep watching the videos. Every time I just keep crying about these children and everything. It's just, I just want it to stop. I really, really do. It's just so freaking devastating.
Former President Trump wants cameras in the courtroom for his federal election interference trial. Trump's legal team demanded the federal judge allow the proceedings to be televised, claiming the case is part of a coordinated effort to undermine Trump's White House bid. I want it televised for a different reason. I want all of America to see the crook that tried to steal an election from the American people.
Do you think, honestly, do you think that it's going to hurt him, really? Or do you think that it's just going to be a way to kind of indoctrinate other people to what he's saying?
I think he'll use it as a campaign tool and grandstanding. There was a recent story about commercials that were made that used that talked about the election. And at the end of the commercial, the people that did the focus group sat everyone down and said, well, what did you think of it? And even the people that didn't support him before were more sympathetic to his plight.
Wow. Okay.
So I would say, while I think the American people need to see firsthand what he's done and what he's accused of doing, I don't want him to get any extra credit or any bump from this. He should pay. He shouldn't benefit.
Yeah. And yes, I did. I should mention, Brian's mentioning it. Trump's eldest sister passed away. Was it this weekend or today? I saw it today. I think she's in her 80s. So she passed away. So rest in peace to her.
Well, they might not have been close because we never heard about her.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything else about her except she passed away.
Well, he says this whole case is part of a coordinated effort to undermine his White House bid. Court rules do not allow for broadcasting of federal proceedings, and the Justice Department is opposed to allowing cameras in.
Yeah, they were saying Jack Smith, that it was the Jack Smith actually does want the cameras, but he was saying no to it because then Trump would want it, kind of thing. So it was kind of like this reverse psychology on him.
Oh.
I don't know how I really feel about the cameras in the courtroom. I could deal with it not being in the courtroom. I don't think that necessarily, look, I don't feel like if you are still confused on what Trump has done, I don't know where you've been, right? So I don't see it really persuading anybody that if you're a MAGA person, you are a MAGA person through and through. That's it. There's no amount of camera testimony that's going to convince you otherwise. I highly doubt it. And so if there is a risk of him indoctrinating other people, then screw it. Don't let it happen. You know what? Don't let him have anything that he wants during this court proceeding. How about that?
A Secret Service agent protecting President Biden's granddaughter fired shots at suspects attempting to break into an unmarked agency vehicle. CNN reports the agent involved was assigned to Naomi Biden's detail. The agency said no one was hit and the incident is under investigation.
Interesting.
Maybe they just tried to break into the wrong car? I don't know.
Maybe.
Donald Trump's older sister, as you just mentioned, Marianne Trump Berry, dead at the age of 86. The New York Times reports she died at her home on the Upper East Side of Manhattan today. Her cause of death is unknown at this time. Berry was a former prosecutor and a federal judge who retired in 2019.
I think she had a connection to Bill Clinton, something with the Clintons I had read. So I don't know if she's necessarily a huge Trumper, but yeah, she passed away.
And as you mentioned earlier, we've got traffic troubles of a different kind ramping up here in Northern California. It is where the eyes of the world are on San Francisco for the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit, known as APEC. President Biden will be there tomorrow night for a fundraising dinner before meeting with China's president on Wednesday. Governor Gavin Newsom featured as a special guest. He just unveiled a plan to clean up city streets last week and plant new trees in neighborhoods as part of a statewide program.
Let's go over, since you're talking about it, some of the other things. So today is the final day of the multi-stakeholder forum. There's a finance ministers meeting. It's the first day of APEC meets Silicon Valley in California. Then of course the street closures really kick in. Tomorrow is the APEC CEO summit. If you're going to the Warriors game, you have to keep all the traffic closures in mind. They're playing the Minnesota Timberwolves tomorrow. Also on Tuesday, that's when Caltrans closes, or today. I don't know, either today or tomorrow. Caltrans closes one eastbound lane and one westbound lane of the Bay Bridge. Golden Gate Bridge parking lots remain closed through Saturday. The MTA is rerouting Muni lines, Metro service, changing where the cable cars operate. The cable cars will not be going past, obviously, Moscone Center. Wednesday, as Kim just mentioned, is when President Biden is going to be meeting with China's president. It's also the first day of the CEO summit. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff leading up to everything. And then on Thursday is the California Asian Leadership Network of elected and appointed officials, or CalNet. They should just say it's CalNet. But yeah, you just have to go online, SFMTA. They have this map, and they'll show you all the stuff and they tell you everything. And then on Friday, not only is the APEC happening, but Lauryn Hill and the Fugees are supposed to be playing at the Chase Center.
What a mess.
Lauryn Hill is going to be late. So if you're late to the concert, don't even worry about it. Lauryn Hill is infamous for being late, extremely late. I was reading an article about it. I don't know if there's any Lauryn Hill fans. I'm a Lauryn Hill fan, but I've never seen her in concert. She does not go on stage, she says, unless the energy is right. So just keep that in mind.
How rude is that?
It's just, if the energy doesn't feel right, she ain't going on stage yet. So that could explain the infamous delays on when she goes, but she's amazing. There was something wrong with her voice, though. And so some of her earlier concerts were panned, but I think it had to do with some sort of illness that she had. But yeah, if you're going, keep it in mind because APEC is going to be a disaster. Okay.
I read an article with her where people were complaining that she was I don't know, more than an hour or 2 hours late for her show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And
always.
She told a reporter, they're lucky I show up at all.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. She has.
I'm like, what?
She does not give. But
These
once she's
people
on
paid
there.
to see
yeah,
you. They all gathered. They all left their homes on time. They all got here. They all went through security for you. They, and you can't be bothered to give them the respect to show up.
Oh no, she'll show up. She just shows up on time, on her time, not anybody else's time. Miss Organic has seen her. I mean, I like her music that I've listened to, obviously on CD, Spotify, whatever. I've never seen her live, but I would love. I've seen video of people seeing her live, and it was amazing. Yeah, I mean, and Tony's going to be at the Masonic, so it's just going to be crazy. If you're going to San Francisco this week, just plan extra time, as I love to say.
No. There's some new fallout from a California data breach that hit more than 1 million retirees earlier this year.
Ooh.
More than 800,000 Sutter Health patients are now finding out they were affected too. Their personal information may have been stolen in the May ransomware attack, including doctor or prescription details. Officials confirmed Social Security numbers and financial information were not impacted. They say nothing was leaked or abused at this time.
Oh, good. Oh, geez.
That always makes a person feel good.
I know,
though.
exactly. It always makes you like, oh, no.
You get that letter in the mail that says, you have been the.
Yeah, exactly.
You should check
and then
your credit.
change your path. And then you're talking about older, and I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but, if you're of a certain age, like changing all of your passwords can kind of be confusing for you. It's just, well, where do I go to do that? And then remembering them, and then where do you store them that's safe? Like, it could be a thing, so...
Social media buzzing with a nuclear stealth bomber taking its very first flight in California. Ooh. A lot of people gathered near the Palmdale Regional Airport Friday for a chance to see the B-21 Raider in action. Most posted photos and videos as the test flight took off toward Edwards Air Force Base. The Air Force plans to buy at least 100 of these planes by the mid-2030s to eventually replace the aging B-1 and B-2 bomber fleets.
Interesting. Okay.
And lastly, it's happened. Disneyland all decked out for the holidays. Disneyland and Disney California Adventure Park kicked off Christmas festivities on Friday. In addition to lights and decor, parkgoers can enjoy a Christmas fantasy parade, holiday fireworks displays, and snow in downtown Disney. Have you ever done that?
I've never been there for Christmas, but I did go the first time we took Marley. We took her in January, and so the stuff was still up, but it wasn't like the big old kind of Christmas. Have you?
Oh yeah, it's fun. Well, usually, so Thanksgiving is I call it our only free holiday, because my aunt used to have Thanksgiving, but then she stopped for a while because her dad was older and infirmed.
Okay,
and so it was the one holiday where we didn't have a family obligation for a while. And so we decided to start going to Disneyland on Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's fun.
And it's all Christmased out. We have the kids' pictures with Santa taken at the Grand California lobby where Santa hangs out. And then you walk in downtown Disney, and most of the time, other than the time it actually really did snow, like a couple of years ago, it's just little flecks of soap.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like little bubbles of soap that come down. But it's fun, and the kids have a great time when it's snowing, and it feels magical, and there's fireworks going off, and it's cool.
Some mutual friends of ours went years ago, but they went the week after Thanksgiving. So they actually kept their kids out of school a little bit longer, and they said it was empty because everyone's going on the week of Thanksgiving, that the week after is pretty empty. Now, I don't know if that still holds up because, again, this was, I don't know, 6 years ago or something like that. So I don't know, now it seems that the more expensive Disney gets, the more crowded it still seems to get. So it's insane. But maybe go the week after Thanksgiving if you just hope against hope that the lines aren't as long. I don't know.
Well, on Thanksgiving Day, it's usually pretty empty in the morning.
Right.
And then in the afternoon, like maybe people celebrated with brunch or something.
Okay.
In the afternoon, it gets jam-packed.
Yeah.
So, but there's a time on Thanksgiving in the morning where it's pretty empty as well.
Yeah, I'm just getting ready for Thanksgiving. I wouldn't want to do anything. I would definitely not want to walk in Disneyland on Thanksgiving.
It's good. It's fun. I'll tell you. I've been to the Blue Bayou for Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah.
Ooh, and is it good? I mean, do they do something special for Thanksgiving, or is it the same?
All the menus completely change.
Oh, that's fun.
And everything is Thanksgiving related. There's a giant, like one of those buffets you'd find in a hotel for Mother's Day.
Yes.
They do a giant Thanksgiving Day buffet at the Disneyland Hotel in their ballroom.
Ooh, nice.
So that's different. There's the carts that are parked along the California Adventure center that sell the, interesting things. It's all holiday related. So all the food changes, everything changes for the holidays.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's pretty fun though.
The holiday festivities end for Disneyland January 7th. So you have until then.
Yeah, I think we called just the tail end of it because we went for my niece's birthday. Because my brother would always take his kids. It was like a tradition for certain birthdays, and my kids had never gone. And Dylan was a baby. And we still have the picture. Dylan was, still breast milk baby. And so I think it was like less than a year old. That was the year for my Niner fans out here. That was the year that we beat the Saints. And then that was winning the NFC conference. And my dad was like, we are not missing this game. And there's a bar right outside of Disneyland, the ESPN zone or something like that. And so my dad, my brother, my husband, and Dylan as a baby were sitting there while all the women were riding all the rides inside Disneyland. I'm like, I'm going. And so I remember being in line for Dumbo and we won it like right at the end of that game. I'll never forget it. And I'm like cheering.
Oh God.
Line. I'm like, it's good. And like everyone's just looking at me.
Brian says, wait a minute. I wouldn't care for having flakes of soap falling on me. Yeah.
I think that like have you ever showing my age. You ever been to a foam party? It's fine. Don't worry about it. So
I haven't been to a foam party. Tell me about that, Nikki.
Foam party?
No.
Oh, when I went my senior trip to Mexico, it's a club and they pump foam into the club. And so you're just dancing and swimming in foam.
So I had a friend. We have a mutual friend that worked at KGO that went on to one of those couples things.
Like
a couples trip. Yeah, like a couples trip.
Okay.
And it was in Mexico, and she described that there was an empty pool, and everyone was kind of dancing in the pool, and they pumped foam into it, and it turned into like this sex thing where people were grabbing you and sliding against each other, and
yeah, I can see that. The problem is the foam can get kind of high, and I'm kind of short.
Nikki's like, I'm down here. I can't breathe.
Well, just because there's definitely a line where it starts to become concerning. That's all I'm going to say. I'm like, is they going to stop pumping in the foam? But yeah, it's a good time. It's definitely, I could definitely see it getting a little slippy and slimy and touchy-feely there.
Yeah. A little too copophilio.
Exactly.
This show is crowdfunded, and that means we rely on you.
Yep.
Please, thank you so much for all the ways you are part of this show. If that's just in the chat, we love that too. If you can support this show, you'll find us at theNikkiMedoroShow.com, and it's our long-term supporters that allow us to continue.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for that. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com, TheNikkiMedoroShow.com. I'm Kim McAllister. On, you guessed it, The Nikki Medoro Show.
I love this comment. Hold on, where did it go? I can't believe your parents would let you go to Mexico for a high school senior trip. It was after I graduated senior year. So I still wasn't 18 though, but I did go to Mexico and it was a grand old time.
I did Disney grad night and that was fun.
Nikki needs a snorkel. I think that's what you're trying to say. Can you imagine? I'm at a foam party with a snorkel so I can breathe. That would be really, really funny. All right. I want to show you guys some images, though, of the craziness down in LA. I can't imagine what Mark Thompson is going to say. And, of course, his show is right after this one right here on YouTube.
By the way, Mark Thompson, God, I can't talk today. What the hell's wrong with me? Mark Thompson is at KFI today.
Oh, he is. Okay.
And Albert is traveling.
And
no. Tony is off. Guess who's left behind?
Oh, my Kimmy Kim Kim.
Solo Mio, not even a producer to hang out with. Yeah, just me. So we set, Albert has this thing where he sets the bar low, and then when he exceeds, it looks like a big success. We're going to just set the Mark Thompson Show bar. We're setting it really low.
It's not going to. You know what? I'm going to encourage everyone because I know there's so many that go from this show to that show. Yeah. Put the link in for Mark, and she'll put the link in, and you guys join her on the show, so it'll be fun. That's and how long? Just today is he in KFI?
Yeah, he'll be back tomorrow.
I was really curious to see how he was handling the traffic in LA, as we know that Mark lives down there, and it's going to be an S show, you guys, because think about this: the I-10. It's just messing up traffic. And again, even if you don't use the I-10, people that do will then have to take other streets. And that always creates this disaster, right? And then again, the government shutdown and flying or driving on Thanksgiving. I can only imagine how terrible it's going to be. Here is Caltrans video of the damage from this fire on Interstate 10. Here, look at this. I mean, everything that's just, look at that. Oh my goodness. So that's under the overpass or the freeway or whatever.
What used to be an overpass.
I would, if I'm that Caltrans guy, I'm like, do I really want to be standing underneath here? No, you don't. And then ABC 7 had a pretty, just the video of the fire, just to give you an idea of how hot and how strong it was burning. Here, look at this. Look at that. Look at that. All those pallets. That should not be allowed. This video shocks me because how can you allow, basically, it's as if you set up a campfire under a major piece of infrastructure.
You stacked up kindling right there.
Yeah. Exactly. And so again, I do agree with the thought that there needs to be laws that protect major infrastructure around the state. Yeah. Now, of course, people, Randy, wonder how the fire started. Yes, many people are saying, oh, was it a homeless encampment? Whatever it was, the pallets were already there. And that should never have happened, right? Like that should have not been allowed from the get-go. Yeah. And so hopefully they can get this fixed quickly. LA's mayor is urging people to stay home. Well, no crap. After the I-10 closure. It's not as if people, they might have a choice. I will say this about COVID. It really has given people an ability to say, hey, I'll do it from home today because they may have done it before. But yeah, they're saying stay home to mitigate the traffic related impacts. Apparently, this is one of the busiest freeways in California. It sees 300,000 people driving through it every single day. And there's no timeline on when they're going to reopen it. You're advised to take public transit. Those who are driving past the city are advised to stay on the freeway and use alternate routes like I-5, Interstate 110, and State Route 60, carpool, those sorts of things. School, though, will still be open. So you have to still try to get your kids there. And then they, of course, say that, the Governor Newsom, he declared a state of emergency over the weekend, which will, free up those funds to hopefully get it fixed as soon as possible. But yeah, it's Gil says Caltrans leases lots of land under freeways. It's not just homeless. Well, they shouldn't be allowed to do that. At least not anything that's going to catch and burn like this. I mean, think about how stupid this was.
In this particular incident, I was talking to Steve Gregory last night from KFI. He said they rented it out to some person. Caltrans rented it out to one entity, and that entity turned around and subleased it to someone else.
Yeah.
So, I don't know who's in charge.
Was it a legal sublease? Are they allowed to do that?
I don't know the answer to that, but he did say it does look like homeless people did start the fire. Preliminarily, that's the information. So,
right.
Yeah.
But again, it's it shouldn't, certain things shouldn't be allowed to be stored. How about that? You know what I mean? Like, okay, if you want to lease the land and it makes Caltrans some money, right, that they depend on, it's part of their budget or whatever. Okay. But how about not this? Not wood, not something that can catch fire like that. If you want to do, metal boxes or something like that, like something that's not going to catch fire easily and then burn for hours on end at such a high temperature that it melts and damages a major freeway. I mean, they're saying, LA Mayor Karen Bass is saying this is an economic crisis for the region. That's crazy. She said, while we're going through this crisis, we would like for employers who can have their staff work remotely to do so. Like I said earlier, this is an emergency. It's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I didn't realize that. Under 280 and 1st Street in San Jose, I'm trying to think of the area right now, there's a public storage. I guess if it's metal boxes, that's one thing, although storage units can catch fire. There was one just recently, I think earlier this year, at a public storage that burned all kinds of people's stuff. I don't know. I don't think that they should be able to store things like that can catch fire under major freeways. It makes zero sense. It makes zero sense. Okay, so the government shutdown could happen November 18th, speaking of traveling around. And like I mentioned, people would work without pay. We're talking about TSA employees, federal air traffic controllers. which I don't know. When you're flying, I really would like there to be enough air traffic controllers and not pissed off ones because they're working without pay, but that's just me. 4.7 million people expected to fly over the 5-day period. Like I mentioned before, that is the highest forecast in 2 decades, and this will coincide with a possible government shutdown. More than 50,000 TSA officers, 13,000 Federal Aviation Administration air traffic controllers would work without pay if the government shut down. And I didn't know this, but TSA workers are among the lowest paid in government. So, and apparently during the last shutdown in 2019, a large number of these TSA workers called in sick weeks. Remember that? And they just wouldn't go in. TSA workers are expected to get their next paycheck just as the shutdown begins. So that could possibly lead to them still working since they have some money coming in. But what should you expect? If a government shutdown happens during Thanksgiving week, you're going to have longer screening times. You're also going to have delays and cancellations, which, during the holidays, you probably don't want to experience. And then, of course, just like with the I-10, there's going to be this economic impact. They say a shutdown could cost the travel industry and the broader economy as much as $140 million per day. It includes a decline in air, rail, government-related business travel, closure of attractions like national parks and museums. About 36 million of that total would hit the air travel industry every single day. So let's see if Mike Johnson, Health Speaker Mike Johnson, can get it together. But I don't think so. Like we were talking about last week, they waste their time on BS problems that have nothing to do with what people care about.
Here's what I think is going to happen. He's going to try to get through some type of stopgap measure, right? That'll fund it in the short term, not a whole thing.
Yeah.
And they'll do it, and all the congressional people will be attaching their little pork spending to
That's
it.
true. Yep.
So that everybody gets their little handout and their thing for their district. And then they'll do it again, and then they'll do it again so they can get all the little
everything
extras
they
that
want.
they want.
Right.
Exactly. That's what we're looking at. So hopefully they'll, I don't know, come up with government funding of some type.
Well, we have to stop kicking the can down the road, right? I mean, people want the government to function. And I really think, for a political party, and I'm talking about Republicans that talk about smaller government, they seem to waste a lot of their time in things that the government should have no say in, right? Or just not busy themselves with. Like, get back to the basics, making sure our economy works and not fighting over like Tuberville, whatever the hell you pronounce his name, holding up military assignments, like protecting our nation from attacks, foreign and domestic. Number one. And these sorts of causes that they've latched themselves onto is absolutely ridiculous. But we'll see. I mean, look, we have 5 days. 5 days. You think they'll be able to get it together this week? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it.
You might be right. I don't know.
Exactly. Speaking of travel, though, guess what airline plans to introduce, and I didn't realize that they didn't do this already, their first red-eye flights. It's Southwest Airlines. They've never done it. Their CEO believes that operating red light flights would be a productive use of their existing assets, obviously, fly them overnight. So that's what I'm sure most of us know what a red eye flight is, but it departs at night and it arrives in the morning. Do you like red eyes? I feel like with kids, it would be difficult just because they're not going to want to sleep on the plane, but they should sleep on the plane. And it's just a hard thing to do to sleep on the plane. Right. I mean, so they're introducing this, despite what some believes, the operational meltdown around the holidays last year. They're going to be offering this. They still offer those free check bags, which makes them one of the most popular airlines to fly on. And they're also going to be operating out of Dallas, Fort Worth. They're expanding their flight operations out of DFW. It's an ideal airport for some red-eye departures. Last week, Jordan stated that the airline could look to have a moderate presence at DFW in the coming years. It's currently restricted to operating solely at Love Field because apparently there was this law that was passed in the 70s called the Wright Amendment. Now, Love Field used to have 70 gates, but after DFW opened in 74, most of the airport was decommissioned and reduced to a 20-gate operation, which it currently is. The amendment restricts Southwest to Love Field until 2025. So that's why they're thinking about expanding bit by bit to DFW. So yeah, if you want to catch a red eye, if you like red eyes, I don't particularly care for them very much. If I get there, I would rather take a very early flight in the morning versus taking a red eye. Let's see. Ricky says in late, out early. Oh, maybe you're talking about the show. I don't know if you're talking about flights.
Have you ever taken a red eye?
When I was a kid with my parents, I would take red eyes occasionally, but no, I feel like we just always left really early in the morning instead of doing the overnight, because as children, once you get on the airline and then you're all pumped up, right? It's like, and so you're not sleeping. And I feel like it just messes up your whole, circadian rhythm and things like that. And if I was on an airline on a red eye and there was somebody next to me that didn't want to sleep, right? And so there's like this one light that's on the airline, I just feel like it would just be a disaster waiting to happen. Do you like red eyes? Have you ever flown a red eye?
Yeah, there was a time where I would only fly red eyes because remember, I'm the kind of person that can sleep anywhere, anytime.
Oh, okay.
So I thought, well, why waste my time there at the place where I'm traveling sleeping?
Yeah,
sleep on the plane, get up and go.
Yeah. Hula Steph says, I just did a red eye flight from SFO to Ireland. I couldn't sleep, but I liked arriving in Dublin at noon. Okay, so you arrive at Dublin, Hula, but you're exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather not do something like that. Now, is it cheaper? I bet it is. I mean, in comparison, like if you're Southwest, they have the different prices depending on when you leave, whether it's nonstop, one stop. I would imagine it's cheaper than the most expensive. I'm going to leave at 8 a.m. and arrive at 12 noon or whatever. But yeah, it's so they're just going to start those. I don't know the date, but they said they are going to start operating red eye flights. Let me see if I could find. I don't know. They don't. I don't know.
I wonder for Hula, if you didn't sleep on the plane and you had that red eye, and then you arrived and you just kind of went about your day, and then you were exhausted by the time it turned night. I wonder if that's like quick fix for jet lag.
Oh, right? Yeah. If with the time change, like if you stay up, I don't know. We're always told like you can't bank hours of sleep, right? It's not like it works that way, but maybe, I don't know. I mean, maybe that is like, I'm just going to stay up because when I get to Dublin, I'll stay all day and then I'll just be exhausted so I could sleep at night. I don't know. I have no idea. Doug says red eyes are cool. I took one back home from Tennessee. There were only 2 people on the plane. The flight attendant gave us extra blankets. We slept in the back. It was during the pandemic. Well, okay, there's a lot of things that go into play there. Jet lag's jet lag, no matter what time you leave or arrive, according to Knit One. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, jet lag does suck. Jeff says red eyes are great for kids. They do sleep all of the flight. Well, maybe not. I guess when I'm thinking of kids like my kids' age right now, maybe as babies or young ones, but one of my really good friends, she cannot sleep on planes. She has a little bit of anxiety of flying anyway, so she can't sleep on planes, and so she's just exhausted. And that just seems miserable to me. Absolutely.
Well, she just needs to take a little something and close her eyes.
Yeah, but then if you take a little something and then a little something happens, like who knows what happens? Can you imagine if you took something to help you sleep and then the plane got delayed or your kids start acting up and you're completely out of it? I wouldn't want to take, you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to take anything if I was responsible for somebody else.
Right.
Like if it was just my husband and then myself, okay,
right.
Maybe. Yeah. But if I had my kids with me, I would be like, no, because God forbid. And then I'm like drugged up mom being like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. No. And I've never what do they call Ambien? I've never taken an Ambien. I've taken like melatonin occasionally, but I don't even really do that. I've never taken anything to go to sleep. So I would be very concerned of how I would react.
I've never needed to either, but I agree. If you have someone else you're responsible for, that's a bad scene. Right.
Okay. Well, one more travel-ish story. And it's all about this. One of a neighbor that lives right down the street from my parents' house had one of these in his driveway. Now, I don't know if he bought it, if he was test driving it. He is a Tesla person, but it's the Cybertruck.
Whoa.
That is the most ridiculous looking thing I have ever seen in my entire life. Who likes it? Let me know in the comments.
It's very space age looking.
I don't like it at all. I think that looks so dumb. It looks like, you know what it looks like? If you ask a child to draw something and then they built it, right? It's like, no. But anyways, did you hear the news that Tesla could soon sue Cybertruck resellers for $50,000 if they resell their vehicle that they purchased within the first year?
Why?
I guess they don't want to. They say you have to ask permission from Tesla to resell it, or you can be sued. Under the terms, Tesla states that it may seek injunction relief to prevent the transfer of title of the vehicle if buyers breach its resale provision, or it may demand liquidated damages from you in the amount of $50,000.
Maybe it's like a concert ticket. Like they're afraid people are going to buy them, snap them up, and turn around and sell them for higher because there won't be enough, they won't be able to meet demand right away. And so they're trying to get people to not jack up the prices, the resale prices of these weird looking trucks.
What company? I just feel it's audacious. Like, I have purchased something from you. If I want to freaking resell it, I should be able to resell it. And I will say it's not the same as concert tickets because they're not like, I don't know. I don't feel like people are going to double the price of a Cybertruck and flip it that way, right? I mean, concert tickets, maybe, but a whole damn vehicle, I don't see it. It just seems that Tesla is making it so I wouldn't want to purchase it. Now, Tesla says it may grant exceptions to some people wishing to sell their Cybertruck within the first year. But again, you have to get written consent, which just sounds like annoying. If the company does agree, it will either buy the car back at a reduced price after deducting 25 cents per mile driven plus wear and tear and the cost of any necessary repairs, or it will allow the owner to resell the truck to a third-party buyer. It's only being released as Cybertruck to a small number of select customers at first because it won't enter mass production until 2024. So,
sure
I guess that's the cash in for the rarity of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, who wants it? Who wants that? Who wants this car?
It's kind of cool. I mean, it's interesting.
Really?
It looks like the future has arrived.
No, it looks stupid. That is not an attractive car. Are
Where's
you kidding
the
me?
truck portion? Like, what if you need to move
like,
a mattress? Where do you put the mattress?
I think they're using truck
Liberally.
Liberally. I don't know. It's just bigger than a Tesla.
Who
wants it?
And it's an electric vehicle?
Yeah, it's a Tesla,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
That'd be funny if it wasn't. So, Brandy says, I don't understand how that can be considered a truck. I saw a video, and I apologize. I should have had it ready to go. I've been trying to get up this hill, and someone's like, that doesn't look good. But then other people are saying, no, it made it to the top. It didn't have the right tires on it, which... Look, I think if you're going to buy a Cybertruck...
It made it to the top. I don't want there to be any question. If I'm buying a truck, how much is that thing?
Oh, that's a very good question. The Cybertruck...
Probably like, what, $150,000?
Oh, it has to be expensive. Although Tesla has been... it's been reducing the price of its, standard Model S or whatever cars. Okay, so let's see. I don't want that. I want to know how much. Oh, let me just Google it. How much is a Cybertruck? Let's see. Yeah. Pricing to start around $50,000. So wait. So they're gonna make you pay $50,000. So you just basically have to pay back what you bought. Yeah. Apparently, it's not that much. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, the new Lightning XLT costs $54K. I don't know. Yeah, they're saying we currently estimated around $50,000. But again, they have not started mass production. But then Business Insider is saying we imagine the top tier model costing a little less than $100,000. So yeah, not too expensive. I don't know, man. I just don't like it. I think that it looks stupid. Beth says, y'all know trucks have different safety standards than automobiles, right? Yes, true. Brian says the person who buys a 1-year-old car is paying less for the car and is not buying a new car, cutting in on Tesla sales. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think that if you're going to get a truck, if you want a truck, buy a truck. And we all know what a truck looks like. If you want to,
we know that the truck
belong to the Jetsons. Okay, then get this. I think it looks.
This picture.
If I'm looking at a futuristic car, this is not what I want. I don't want this. I want it to look really cool. You showed the Mustang last Friday. That looked really cool. You know what I mean? Like, what is this?
Camper.
This is a trailer that goes along with it?
Yeah. It is. I don't know where you can buy that trailer, but it does look like it's a whole futuristic thing. I hear you.
Oh, maybe it's me.
I don't know.
Go ahead. No, it was me. It was me. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I just thought this was an interesting picture. Like, there's your futuristic truck
with
and your futuristic trailer, and you're like sailing off into the 2030s. Look at you go.
It looks like a child drew the design. And I'm not trying to knock kids, but you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And yeah, Amy, black. I agree. So ugly. Yeah. But it looks so futuristic. Yeah. No, I say I am not enthralled with it at all. And I think it's stupid.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Here's another picture. At least I now understand how the cargo situation
works. Good. So you found it. Okay.
Because it looks like a closed thing, right?
A trunk, you mean?
Yeah, it's a trunk truck. It's a trunkety truck. And it looks like it has its own, like, walking path. Like a little...
Yeah, a little ramp thing.
A little ramp. Yeah.
Do I like that?
So I guess it does open up in the back, and you can put things up in the back.
Well, I would freaking hope so if you're going to put the word truck on something. No, it doesn't. No, I still wouldn't get it. No. And I see that it fits. What is that? Like, like kind of a four-wheeler. Okay. No, I say no. Okay. So where do you put the top?
I guess
you know what I mean?
It folds up, perhaps.
Or is that the ramp? Is the top the ramp? Where does the ramp come from? Does it just come out the bottom? I don't know, man.
I think the ramp slides back in.
The inside looks like it has a countertop. Look at that. Was that like a granite?
In case you want to make a sandwich.
Was it like a granite countertop?
Oh, look, a little kitchen in the back.
No.
It does a lot of things. It does a lot of. Look at you. Did you see that?
A tent.
The camping section.
Oh, yeah, you could do that in a regular truck too.
Looks like a solar panel on the back of it?
No, that would be cool.
You've been talking about a solar panel vehicle forever.
Yes. Yes. I think that I don't understand why we're not doing all of that. The roof retracts, Jim says. Ryan says it looks like a piece of cheese to me.
A wedge. Okay, that's cool.
But you could do that with a regular truck. No, that's not selling it to me. That is just.
No.
Oh God, no. Nothing you show me is going to convince me that I want to spend any amount of money on that ugly looking vehicle. No. And I would say, why do things that are electric have to look weird? I feel like that's the thing. Like, even my Prius, even though it's a hybrid, it doesn't look. I don't find it attractive. I want something that looks like the Mustang that you showed me last week without the blue, to be all electric. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't. Oh, Tesla and Prius's roofs are solar panels, but only enough to power the AC and the heater. Well, Jim, that's good to know, because I would also say if it powers the AC and the heater, those are the two things that are often mentioned that reduce distance,
gas
right?
mileage or whatever.
Yeah. So that could be a good trade-off.
This is just the Tesla.com Cybertruck website.
Yeah.
And they just kind of,
Give it up, Kim. It sucks, Kathleen says.
Okay. Give it up, Kim. It sucks. I agree. I think maybe the reason they try to make these cars, these look all space agey, is because they want you to think this is what's next, right? This is new.
Ugly vehicles.
This is the next generation of, technology when it comes to cars and trucks.
That looks stupid on the inside. It has like one little iPad looking thing and the granite countertop. That looks stupid. I don't know. Maybe I'm just anti, possibly, probably. All right. Well, that's the Tesla. But again, you can't, if you get your hands on it, and it's only a small number of people before they start mass production, you can't sell it within the first year, which I would say a year of showing it off to people that can't get their hands on one is long enough. But I just don't think that it's attractive. Okay. Let me just do a couple of more things before we do some more headlines. And I want to talk a little bit about politics, because did I not? Okay, hold on. I'm going to upload the picture. So let's see. Tim Scott has dropped out of the race, right?
Sayonara,
sucker. And Jill Stein is jumping into the race.
She's the Green Party candidate.
She was the Green Party candidate. And then guess who wants to run for an Arizona congressional seat? This guy.
Oh, come on. No.
Yeah, so the QAnon shaman, as he is often referred to.
14th Amendment. I call 14th Amendment on him.
Jacob Chansley has filed a candidate statement last week indicating he wants to run as a libertarian in next year's election for the 8th Congressional District seat in Arizona. Now, remember, he pleaded guilty to a felony charge of obstructing an official proceeding in connection with the Capitol insurrection. We call him the QAnon shaman, but apparently he's disavowed the QAnon movement. The U.S. Constitution, though, does not prohibit felons from holding federal office, but Arizona law prohibits felons from voting until they've completed their sentence and had their civil rights restored. The QAnon shaman. This is where our politics lie.
14th Amendment, Section 3. You cannot hold any office, president, civil, military, or be a representative in Congress or a senator if you have found to be engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, the United States, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. So in order for him to run, Congress should have to vote by 2/3 to remove the disability from him to run for Congress.
Yeah.
But he was blatantly engaged in insurrection.
Well, how do you miss that, dude? I mean,
that's 14th Amendment, like, hallmark. No way. No.
Yeah. And again, it just really shows where politics have devolved into when someone that pleaded guilty, participated in the insurrection, still thinks, yeah, I have a chance. No, you do not. No, you do not. Now, what do you think about Jill Stein throwing her hat in the race? Because we've been talking about all these kind of quote unquote spoilers. I mean, obviously she has a right to run. And this whole idea of we need a viable third party candidate, those sorts of things. Manchin announced his last week too.
Always runs. Like, how many times are you going to run and nobody wants to vote for you? I mean, it just, and then, I would think if a Green Party candidate, does she not see what's at risk here?
I know.
Does
and
she
that's
not
my thing too.
See that we have Trump vying to try to slide his way back in, that slimy, smarmy creature. And so she's going to siphon away votes from the Democrats, and we need every vote we can get.
Yeah. Now, her third party candidacy is one of half a dozen bids from the left, center, and independent spectrum that could, of course, be a spoiler for President Biden. Senator Joe Manchin announced he's not seeking re-election. Some people think that he may run. Stein says she wants to offer a choice for the people outside the failed two-party system. Now, I agree.
Yeah,
choice matters.
Wrong. Yeah,
but
Republican Party seems to be really floundering. So
yeah, but it does seem to me like this is the game, though. Like, on one hand, yes. Do we want more candidates? Do we want more options? Are we tired of the lesser of two evils? Yes. I don't think that Biden is a lesser of two evils. Now, is he perfect? Are there things to criticize him? Yes. But at this point in time, given what the Republican Party has turned themselves into, given the point of Trump and all of the freaking problems associated with him, do we not rally around sanity in politics right now? I just don't get it. But no one's going to stop her. And I'm not going to say she doesn't, that she should pull herself and not run. But I just think that now, like you said, Kim, it's just not the time. But then I could already hear people screaming, well, when is the time? Every election is it?
Well, plus she's run over and over and over again. So when do you say, all right, I see what's happening here. The American people don't want me. You know who is very, I don't want to say very popular, but gaining momentum is RFK Jr. I saw recent polling where he's got, 22% of the vote.
No.
What?
I don't foresee him once he's actually like from the primary, after the primary being, there's just no way. There's just no way. People are lazy. in their research of candidates. Like, why? Why RFK? Why? I mean, what has he done? What platform, what experience does he have besides the Kennedy name that makes him someone that should represent and run this country? That's all. That's all I'm going to say. Like, if you want to outline all of his accomplishments, what he's done, his both foreign and domestic experience, knock yourself out. I ain't buying it. So no, RFK is crazy. He's badass crazy. And no, yeah, he doesn't have my vote. I mean, again, everybody can make their own decision, but give me a break over here. So we'll see. Again, once after the new year, this whole thing is going to just ramp up. It really is. And we're just going to have to filter out. Who do you think is going to be next, though, to drop out? So what? We had Asa Hutchinson drop out. We had Tim Scott drop out. Who do you think? DeSantis isn't going to go away. Nikki Haley, I don't think is going to go away. Chris Christie, I feel like is just going to stay to be the kind of fly in the ointment for Trump.
Yeah.
Who else is left? Oh, and then Vivek. His ego will keep him going. So I think those four are going to stay it for. Randy thinks Chris Christie will be next. I mean, I don't know. I think that he just likes the attention. I firmly believe that Chris Christie does not think in any way, shape, or form he's going to be the nominee, right? Like, he just wants to be the one that continues to say the things that the other candidates are too chicken crap to say, right? And so, if for that reason alone, he could stay in it. I want people that are going to speak truth to power and against former President Trump and remind people of the nonsense instead of speaking in this double speak that Nikki Haley and others like to speak in all the time. DeSantis, he's just becoming odder and odder as each debate goes on. He's such an odd man. So I don't think that he's going to get the nominee. I do think that if it's not Trump, I think the next person that would really get Biden a run for their money is probably Nikki Haley. I think she has the foreign experience, obviously. She's a woman, so she's going to get that plus from a lot of people. I think, well, there's many reasons why I don't like Nikki Haley, but I definitely think, that one quote that always sticks out in my mind that just is like, you're a freaking moron, is when she said that transgender women in sports is the number one issue of our time.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, you are so deaf and blind and dumb to the real issues facing women all over this country.
Totally.
I'm like, that was just, you're ridiculous.
If
you're
you've heard her speak on late-term abortion,
God, I know.
Like, she's
an idiot.
So out of touch. Yeah.
And so as a woman, she loses her woman card to me. I was like, no. So
sorry.
Sayonara, sucker. But I think that if we did have a matchup, Trump just hopefully would never be able to be the nominee. I think that Nikki Haley, I think would definitely give Biden a run for his money. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Okay, let's do some headlines. When we come back, we'll have a little fun with Barry Manilow. I do want to get to the failure to launch thing. And then the DoorDash. DoorDash is trying to help its drivers with a prompt that urges you to tip. And drivers are saying, thanks, but no thanks. We don't want it. And how would you react if you saw the prompt on your screen? Again, you guys click that thumbs up button. The super chat is also live for your donations. And here's Kim with some headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
President Biden and Chinese leader Xi Jinping are scheduled to meet in San Francisco this week. They will meet Wednesday on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit, where Xi is expected to speak to top American business executives. The visit will be his first trip to the United States since 2017, when he met with then-President Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Lawmakers scrambling to avoid a possible government shutdown ahead of Friday's deadline, but House Speaker Mike Johnson's stopgap funding proposal is dividing Republicans because of its lack of spending cuts. The Democrats, meanwhile, have come out against the plan because it doesn't include funding for Israel or funding for Ukraine. Donald Trump Jr. is testifying as the first defense witness today in the Trump Organization civil fraud trial in New York. The Trump family organization is being accused of inflating their wealth to obtain better loans. The New York Attorney General's office ended its arguments last week and was denied a motion to limit certain expert witnesses from testifying for the defense. The Pentagon says 5 Army soldiers killed in a helicopter crash in the eastern Mediterranean Sea Friday were assigned to the Special Operations Unit Aviation Regiment based at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Military officials say that MH-60 Black Hawk was conducting aerial refueling training when it experienced an in-flight emergency, resulting in the crash. MTA Chairman and CEO Janno Lieber is in Newark today, responding to a lawsuit filed by the Garden State. Now, the lawsuit is to stop congestion pricing. So I put the story in because it could be us in California down the road. So congestion pricing is when, you're on a toll road, which is proposed for California.
Right.
And you have to pay more to use certain lanes during higher peak times of travel, right? Mm-hmm. So Lieber says congestion pricing is the right thing to do. The governor, Governor Murphy in New Jersey, has called the congestion pricing an unjust scheme that looks to balance the MTA budget at the expense of hardworking New Jerseyans. This plan, which is about 6 months away from going into effect, will cost New Jersey drivers thousands of dollars more every year.
I was literally driving the other day and thinking about, just the proposal of making all lanes, all this, pricing toll roads. And it's as if, I said this when we talked about it, they live in a world that doesn't exist. They live in a world that doesn't exist. It is going to disproportionately affect lower income people that have to drive far distances, right? It's not... It's not like a child. It's not fair, but it's not. It's like,
it's just not right.
They're like, it's going to help people. It's going to move people onto public transportation. Oh, you mean the public transportation system that doesn't work right now in the time right now, and it doesn't serve everybody right now? If it was quick and easy and got us where we were going, we would take it, morons, but it doesn't. So you're not living in reality. And yet they will force stuff on us, possibly, and not seem to care about the impact it's going to have. So financially, are they going to help us financially afford either paying for public transportation if that works, or the congestion pricing? No, they're just going to be like, this is the rule, and so you have to do it. It's so freaking annoying. Again, what they should do is give tax incentives to employers that allow people to work from home. That's what you should incentivize businesses to allow some. I'm not saying all workers. Obviously, if you're a doctor, if you're certain people, you have to go into the office, right?
That would say we're trying to alleviate traffic on the road. What I think is happening is they're just trying to suck more money out of people on the road. But right. So you don't
can't afford it.
The MTA in New Jersey wouldn't want people to stay home because that means they would get less cash.
I know that you're right on that aspect. I know you're right on that aspect.
I mean,
but if they move forward with this, it is serious. There are serious consequences to people if you institute something like this. Now, again, this was just in California, not New Jersey. This was just a proposal. They were like, even if it came to be, it wouldn't be like for a decade or whatever. And as we got closer to it, people would be outraged, or maybe they would improve public transportation. But until those improvements are made, screw you. It's not happening.
Yeah. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. There he is. He, of course, was injured. He's a Jet star quarterback. He's looking to get back on the field before Christmas. Looking to get back on the field before Christmas. That was supposed to be a season-ending injury, right?
It is. He's full of crap.
Well, Rodgers told NBC's Melissa Stark at last night's Sunday Night Football game his goal is to return from his Achilles injury in mid-December. Rodgers is walking without crutches. He's been tossing the football in pregame warm-ups the last few weeks. So maybe, I don't know.
No. He is not coming back. I think he just wants attention. I think he made a flippant comment, and I don't think that it's actually going to happen. A star, Kim, he played in like a fraction of a game. He has not done crap for the Jets, and I love that you have him in a Green Bay Packers beanie. He doesn't play anymore, but the Jets suck. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but I highly doubt it.
This is a new baby coming into the world. Did you see the
know.
news? Yes. Chef Gordon Ramsay and his wife Tana are welcoming a 6th child to their family.
Wow.
The celebrity chef posted a photo of the new baby on social media over the weekend, introducing his 3rd son as Jesse James. I guess by the time you get to... Do you really?
Oh, Jesse James? Oh, I think that's really cute.
It's a name for an outlaw.
I know, but nobody cares about that anymore. It sounds cool. I like it, Jesse James. I don't know. I like the middle name James because that's my son's middle name.
Yeah.
So.
Ramsay captioned the post, "What an amazing birthday present," hinting that they may share a birth date of November 8th. Aww. Ramsay also shares his birthday with his youngest daughter. So now he has 3 daughters and 3 sons, and he says they're done.
Yeah, I would hope so, man. And he's busy. He's like on so many different cooking shows and cooking competitions. I always am fascinated. Like, how does your family work when you work so much? Like, how does that... I don't understand how that works.
Well, they're probably rich enough to have a couple nannies.
But when's he home? That's my question. When are you home, Gordon Ramsay? I mean, apparently, arguably, he's also supposed to be running restaurants and not just television. Right. I just feel like you come home, you have sex with your wife, she gets pregnant again, and that keeps her busy. I don't know. It just, I feel like he's really busy and you're just bringing more children into the family. Like, how much time are you spending? You often hear that chefs don't spend a lot of time at home, let alone a celebrity chef like Gordon Ramsay.
Or people that run restaurants, right?
Yeah,
it's a
exactly.
24-hour job almost.
Exactly.
So
yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know. I like that you're concerned about it, though. That's nice.
I'm thinking about the family, Kim. I'm thinking about the family.
Lastly, there is a new species of dinosaur, and Texas gets the bragging rights for the discovery. While the small fossil from the animal was discovered in 2020, more bones were found near Lake Grapevine this week. Scientists confirming it's entirely a new species. They think this dinosaur was likely about 6 feet long and weighed up to 60 pounds. I don't know what its name is.
I thought that was a mushroom. What is that, a tooth that you're showing me? What is that?
Some type of claw, tooth. I don't know.
What do we think it is? A tongue? I have no idea.
It was a small-bodied plant-eating species, is what we know about this.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It roamed the Dallas-Fort Worth area 96 million years ago. The new species is named, bear with me, Ampelognathus.
Yeah, sure. Okay, we'll go with that.
Ampelognathus. Ampelognathus coheni is a small plant-eating dinosaur. It's a rare find for North Texas where few herbivore species have been uncovered. Yeah. This is a jawbone, a fossilized jawbone.
Oh, it's a jawbone. Okay. Yeah. It looks really small for the jaw. So we're not talking about a gigantic dinosaur here.
No.
It's not going up against the T-Rex or anything.
They say it would have been about the size of a border collie, weighing between 20 and 60 pounds.
Oh, it'd be like a little snuggaboo, like a snuggaboo dinosaur.
I don't think you want to snuggle with it. No.
Hey, you never know. We have all of these assumptions about dinosaurs. A creature that none of us have ever met.
So when they first found it, they thought it was the jawbone for an alligator or a crocodile.
Oh,
but
okay.
Then they figured out, no, this is actually a whole new species of dinosaur.
I mean, I think it's a bit rich for us to know the personality of the dinosaur. Again, a species we never met simply by their skeletons, right? We know crap really about the personality of dinosaurs. They could have all been like Nugget. You don't know. The T-Rex could have been a big old lover. You never know. We don't know the personality traits of the dinosaurs. Who the hell was there? Nobody.
No.
So stop judging them. I'm gonna name that one the Snuggaboo dinosaur. That's it. That's the one that you snuggle on the couch with. Yes, that's it.
No. This report is crowdfunded, which means we do rely on you to help us out and help us get this show rolling. Yeah. Thank you so much for all your contributions with the super stickers and the Patreon and PayPal links, which you'll find on the website at theNikkiMedoroShow.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Exactly. And Steve says it correctly. We can't really fact check dinosaurs. Exactly. How do we know? We don't. We don't know anything. We know what their skeleton and everything looks like, but their personality, We're just judging them on their teeth. Okay. Maybe you guys knew this, and maybe I'm just really late to the show. Okay.
Uh-oh.
I didn't know that Barry Manilow was a jingle writer. It wasn't part of my like trivia knowledge, but he was giving this interview with CNN's Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace, by the way, who kind of was like hammering home, like, how come you took so long to come out as gay? Which, because Barry Manilow was married at one point to a woman.
Did he come out? I didn't know that he came out.
Yeah, apparently he came out as gay, and Chris Wallace is like, what took so long? And he's like, it wasn't that big of a deal for me, and so I just never. He's like, I knew I was gay when I was 5 years old. I just didn't make a press release about it. So yeah, he's with his partner, who I think was his manager or something like that. That's besides the point. But then in a part of Chris Wallace's interview, he was talking with Barry Manilow about all the jingles that he was responsible for. And I swear, I was like, if you say Cars for Kids, I'm going to kill him. No, it wasn't Barry Manilow. Here is a little bit of that interview.
Some of these jingles that you wrote, and they're classics.
I am stuck on the Band-Aid, stuck on me. She had a piano here.
I am stuck on Band-Aid.
Okay, so that's Band-Aid. Then there was a very romantic one, State Farm Insurance.
Like a good day.
I didn't know that one.
State Farm is there.
State Farm is there.
The big one was You Deserve a Break Today.
I don't really remember this one.
Does anybody remember those songs? Melody. They don't do catchy melodies anymore in commercials.
Well, no, but let's just take one, because I think for most of us, McDonald's is the king. It's the OG.
The OG.
Give us
I
a
love
sense
Chris
of your
Wallace.
process. How did I take it? They gave you the words first. You deserve a break today.
Yeah. Well, I'd rather talk about State Farm because
okay, your show.
Yeah. No, because that one was I was singing on it and I was arranging it. But State Farm, they gave me a whole lyric, like a song lyric. You know, whenever you're driving and wherever you're about. Well, anyway, I can do that.
Right.
I made a really pretty melody to those lyrics. And then they took the Like a Good Neighbor, State Farm is there section, and they ran with that.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
They're still using them today. You must have. Did you make millions of dollars from this?
500.
$500 million?
$500.
What? Right? Yes.
From what? Each one?
No, $500. As a composer, they buy you out, and that's it. You don't get residuals. You never see it again.
Isn't that crazy?
I mean, $500 during that time, I was happy to get it, but they don't pay the composer doesn't get residuals. If you're on the spot, if you're singing or you're talking, then you get residuals, but the composer just gets a flat fee. And, most of the commercials disappear after a month. These lasted
like,
for like 40 some odd. State Farm Insurance commercial has been there for over 40. It's my greatest hit.
Now, isn't that crazy? I mean, I was blown away. And now just kind of tying it into the actors' strike and everything like that and residuals, it goes to show, you know what I mean? It matters what they give you. Think about, how pissed I would be if every time I turned on the TV to this day, I hear the jingle that I wrote that I never get paid for. That's
crazy.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, so that's Barry Manilow. A lot of people not surprised that Barry Manilow is gay. Yeah, he but I think Chris Wallace was kind of focusing on it because he was married to a woman, which is not, it's not surprising. We've heard that story many times, especially with older generations. You just didn't do that, right? No. Like, you married a woman, even if and they're like, and Chris Wallace is like, well, when did you know you were gay? And he's like, when I was 5. It's like, I knew I was gay. And then he's like, what took you so long? He's like, it was a non-event for me. We'd been together. Gary Keefe was his manager and now his husband, but they didn't announce it until 2017. So that's when he announced he was gay.
I'm uncomfortable with that whole line of questioning.
Thank you. I was feeling the same way, right?
I feel like that's his business. And honestly, his sexuality is his business. When he knew he was gay, like, if he wants to come out and talk about that, great. But don't pump someone for the information. That's kind of a private thing.
Yeah, it's kind of gross.
It's not my business when he knew he was gay or that he was gay or that he even is gay. Like, if you want to come out to the world, that's your thing. But I'm not going to ask you about it. That's your private business. No.
Doug says, I had a friend that I knew in high school who was a foreign exchange student from Italy. He told me Manilow was gay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I feel like there's just, and it's stereotypical and it's blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I just love the jingle thing. I thought, and the fact that he got, in my opinion, screwed. But if that's what he accepted and that's the contract he signs, then there you go. All right. Speaking of contracts, speaking of things that people agree to, let's get into DoorDash. Okay. So DoorDash has recently started a new feature where they kind of put pressure on people to tip. Here's what it looks like for some people. Now, I don't think everybody sees this, but here we go. Okay, so on one side, it asks you to add a tip, and then if you don't, it says orders with no tip might take longer to get delivered. Are you sure you want to continue? And then you can add a tip, or you can continue without a tip. Now, you would think that some people would like that. But apparently a lot of drivers are saying, no, it shouldn't be a tip that makes it worth it for me. DoorDash should pay me more. Pay me. One driver says, pay me what I'm worth. Don't just go around and ask other people to take care of your business. Does this reaction, is the question, surprise you?
As a consumer, I think I'd like to know that if I don't leave a tip, it's going to take a really long time. So then I can choose, all right, well, if I didn't want a tip and it's going to cost me now this amount of money to make sure I get what I'm trying to order, then maybe I don't want to order it. If it's going to cost me all kinds of money I don't have and I can't afford to leave a tip.
And I know we talk about tipping a lot on this show.
I mean, they're straightforward with me. Good.
But when people deliver something to your house, is that an automatic tip? Do you think that you should automatically tip somebody?
I do, personally.
I do too. I mean, again, we go back to the whole like takeout versus, and that's a different conversation. But when you're having somebody actually pick up your food for you, drive it over to you, does anyone think that that's not worth a tip? Like, I don't understand people that get DoorDash and don't tip. That boggles my mind. Yeah. Boggles my mind.
As if it's a right to have someone drop it off on your porch. No.
Right. It's just, I don't know. I feel like whenever I get DoorDash, and I've been trying to use it less, whenever I get DoorDash, I think to myself, how much am I I literally say it. I'm like, okay, so what's it worth? What's it worth? If it's, especially if it's far away and I want it quickly, because if it's farther away, then you want them to be quick with it. You don't want them to make any other stops. Right. All right, like, don't make any other stops. I want my food right away. Gordon, though, says there should not be any pressure to tip in any situation. Oh, and then Jim throws in an interesting comment. But we do not tip the mailman. But he is. Oh, no, we don't. We don't tip the mailman, right? But the mailman makes way more money than a DoorDash driver.
I would think so, with federal benefits. Although a lot of them are part-time, so I don't know if they all get it. I don't know. Mario
does something my husband does occasionally with DoorDash, but a lot of times with our Lyft drivers. Mario says, I prefer to tip in cash because I don't trust the apps will give it to the drivers. When we went to the Red Jack Saloon to see Lori, we didn't, I should be honest. We took a taxi. We actually took like a regular taxi because it was right out in front of the Caltrain station, but we paid, hold on, pardon me. I got to cough real quick.
It's okay. Yeah, that's all right.
Go ahead. Sorry. I was just going to say we paid through, they have a little credit card place.
Yeah.
But then I think then James handed him cash because I think it's better that way. Tip me in cash. And I know that I'm going to be dinged for saying this, but then you don't have to like disclose it all. And you know what? When you're not making a lot of money, screw the government.
Well, and that's the thing with DoorDash drivers. I don't know how much they're getting paid per delivery, but it's probably not enough.
No, it's not. Do you tip or give gifts to your mailmen or delivery people at Christmas?
Yes.
A lot of people do that. Donald says we leave a box of candy for the mailman during Christmas. Doug says we tip the mailman at Christmas. Eric says mail carriers are technically government employees and cannot accept tips or gifts. I didn't know that. But if you hand them something, they're not going to deny it, right?
I had a mail lady that used to leave gifts for us. She would leave the kids like Easter eggs in the mailbox and little Christmas candies.
Nice.
Yeah, she's super sweet. So I think so. What about the garbage? I want to say garbage man, garbage worker.
Right. The
You leave
sanitation worker.
The sanitation worker. Do you leave anything for them?
I don't leave anything. No.
No.
I don't.
Gift
I
on
never
the top
think
of the
of
garbage
it.
can. No.
Well, no, because most of the time the machine grabs the garbage can and then throw my gift away.
Well, doesn't the person walks out of the vehicle to like make sure
No.
everything's all right?
I think
No.
I think they just the little arm grabs the garbage and dumps it. Right.
Oh.
Your garbage man does it by hand?
Yeah, I can see him out there. Yeah.
Well, I see the guy, but I don't. I'm always thinking of when I get caught behind the garbage man, and no, there's the arm. Unless there's something wrong with the garbage can, like it needs to be maneuvered in some way.
Right.
But no, it's the arm that comes out and it dumps it upside down, and then it slams it back down. Like,
I
Jesus.
suppose if you're worried about that, you could always run out and give it to them.
Yeah, I'm not doing that either. They come at like 5 o'clock in the friggin' morning. That ain't happening. The lady Beatrice says, I put in $20 tip on Grubhub only to get horrible service. So I don't think we should be made to tip, especially if service is lousy anyway.
Yeah.
Anonymous, paying the raised food price, delivery fee, service fee plus tip. I can't sympathize with every gig worker. I got my own concerns. I'm not St. Jude. Tip depends. Okay, well, then again, it goes back to should you even use DoorDash? Like, it's providing a service to you because you don't want to go get your own food. I don't want to get my pizza, so I'd have a delivery guy bring it to me, right? Like, I don't know. Tipping is such a weird thing, and it's very America focused. You go to other countries, and they are not. Yeah, it's this thing. But again, like, I could never imagine not tipping my DoorDash worker. Like, I've never. Now, does it fluctuate? Of course, it fluctuates. Especially if it's close or whatever. But then if it's close, it's like, just get off your ass and go get your own food, right? Like, do something like that. But I can't imagine. But DoorDash should raise the base pay for its drivers. That way they don't depend so much on their tip. Okay. Let's move on finally to failing to launch. Does anybody, you guys know what failure to launch means, right? So there was a movie with Matthew McConaughey, actually. And what's her face? Sarah Jessica Parker, I think it was.
I thought it was Kate Hudson. No?
Was it Kate Hudson? Failure to launch? Oh, I gotta Google it. Right? I know it was Matthew McConaughey. It was, nope, I was right. Sarah Jessica Parker.
Okay. How could I question you
how
on something
could you question
Matthew McConaughey related? My bad.
So it was Sarah Jessica Parker. No, Kate Hudson was in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Okay.
That's the movie with Kate Hudson. Anyways, so failure to launch. Matthew McConaughey is not launching. His parents are very worried. He's not becoming an adult. Those sorts of things. And in current society, a lot of parents have this worry. They worry that their children are not prepared to leave the nest. I was just reading an article about kids going to college and how the depression rate amongst college students is so high because they don't know how to be social with each other. They don't know how to create kind of a support system. They're so locked into their phones. They're hanging out in their rooms, oftentimes their first year of college away from home, and they're scared and they don't know how to interact with people. And then there are just people that don't ever want to leave home, right? They not saying that they don't have a job, but they're totally comfortable at home. There is this New York Giants rookie quarterback by the name of Tommy DeVito. He made his first career start on Sunday, but apparently he still lives at home with his mom and dad. He's from New Jersey. He called the decision to continue living with his parents a no-brainer. He told ESPN, quote, "Everything that I need is there at the house. The decision was made since this level of football
for free."
He says, "This level of football is stressful for a rookie, especially in the quarterback position. There's a lot going on, a lot of meetings. So everything outside of football is handled by my family. I don't have to worry about laundry, what I'm eating for dinner, chicken cutlets, and all that's waiting for me when I get there. My mom still makes my bed. Everything is handled for me. Honestly, I don't even know if I could find a place closer to here than where I live. It takes me 12 minutes to get here." What do you think about this?
I think he's not a grown-up.
Really? So if you met somebody, they're like, look, he has a very stressful, he does have a stressful job being a NFL quarterback or whatever. No, not acceptable.
How old is he? He's 21.
Do I have his 25?
25. I can get behind. I think 24, 25, it's time you need to start thinking about moving out on your own. Like those early 20 years, maybe you're kind of a late bloomer, or you still feel like a teenager, or you're going to junior college, or, you're trying to get your life together, what have you. But here's a guy who's getting paid a big salary, right? Although maybe when you're a rookie, like you need that family to ground your family to ground you, that, these are times where you could get in trouble if you're not mature enough.
True. Right.
I guess there's some reasons to say that's great, but I don't know. I think his mom, if his mom is still making his bed and having chicken cutlets on the table when he walks through the door, this is not a realistic picture of what life is like for him.
Do you think that they're doing him a disservice by stepping up in that way?
Yes.
Even though he's busy, like he's watching film, he's at practice, all these sorts of things.
Okay.
Like he has a lot of time on the football field.
He finds a lovely person to marry, of whichever gender.
Right.
What do you think he's going to expect from that person? Do you think he's going to expect the chicken cutlets on the table and the bed to be made? Like, no, these are things you have to do yourself. Be responsible for your own self. Be responsible for your own bed being made and your own laundry being done. And if I haven't taught you that by the time you're 25, I'm the big loser. No.
Yeah. Liz asked the question, is he paying rent or a mortgage and everything else? Well, I don't think he's paying rent. He didn't mention that in the long list of things that he mentioned were included. But let me throw this in and take the NFL football player out of it, right?
Right.
It's not easy to afford life. Even if you go to college, even if you know how to do your own laundry, even if you know how to cook, is there something, would you as a parent, for instance, be disappointed if your kid was like, it's just easier for me to live here, right? Like, can I just stay here? And I'm not saying you have to like do the chicken cutlets and make the bed, but would you be disappointed if your children were like, I have a job, but it doesn't pay me a lot? Can, staying here, I'm closer to work or my social net or whatever. Would you have a problem with your 25-year-old child still living at home?
Selfishly, probably not, because I was thinking about this last night, actually, as every night I kind of, if the kids are already asleep and I walk down the hallway, I touch their doors and I, tell them I love them and whatever. And so I'm thinking about how Julia's freshman year is, halfway done almost, and how I'll only have her here, if all goes well, for 3.5 more years.
Right.
And so in that case, if they decided to stay or came back, then my sadness over having an empty nest, over, having that child go away. But that's not what you want for your kids. That's selfish to want them to stay because you want them to stay. What you want for them is to launch. You want them to thrive in this world. You want them to go out.
But what if they can't thrive in this world because of what the world is right now?
What I say is, this is your home and you always have a place here.
Right.
Right. But I want to do a good enough job to say, to not have that become a reality. Right. My parents always told me that, but I never came back, even though I always felt like I had a safety net, like I wasn't going to be on the street. And I want them to know that, but I also want them to want to succeed and want to be on their own.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a hard one.
It's hard because I completely agree with what you said, Kim. My kids, I tell them now, like, of course you could stay here as long as you want to, but there would be rules. Like, you're an adult. I am not making you chicken cutlets, unless of course I'm making dinner and you're here. I'm not going to make you anything, but you shouldn't expect it. Let's put it that way, right?
My mom said either you go to school or you get a job.
Yeah. You have to work. You have to pay rent. You have to do your own laundry. CR writes in, said we had our kid doing his laundry, making his bed, and cleaning up at 12. We didn't want to raise needy, entitled son who thought everyone was there to fetch and step up for him. I think he means.
Right.
I agree. Like, my kids know how to do laundry. Do they do it enough? No. But when it piles up, I go, you better start throwing in a load. Like, I don't know what you're doing. Excuse me. But I do think that the reality of the world that we live in, especially here in the Bay Area, I think we should be more open to the idea. And I've thought about this many times, even though I rent this house. I would have no problem creating some sort of ADU in my backyard for my adult child or children to live in. Like,
Agreed.
You need to take care of it. You need to pay rent on it. Whatever the cost is, you are in charge of.
That's
you can have your separate door and everything.
They have their own space. They're responsible for cleaning it. They're responsible for maintaining things. They're responsible for doing their own laundry, making their own dinner. That's different. And that may be the only way that kids of this new generation are able to live in the Bay Area until we all croak and leave them our houses, right? Because I mean, who's going to be able to fork out as we're going along here $1.5 million for a house?
Right.
Not
and that's
very
my
many
whole
people.
Thing. Not and as the cheaper areas people move to, it's only going to get more expensive by the time our children want to buy a house. And so if my kids could even invest with me, right? Like, okay, well, what do we want to do? Do we want to see if we could put an ADU in the backyard? You have to do it. It builds equity, right? That I will pass down to you. I just think that our idea of what launching means needs to change. I think that I need to set you up not just to have the emotional capability to live on your own, manage your time, those sorts of things, but also pay bills. I feel like, and again, this is totally stereotypical and it depends on the parent and the family, but I feel like some parents do everything for their kids in high school and then send them away to college thinking that by osmosis, they've learned how to take care of themselves.
Right.
Have you taught them how to budget? Have you taught them, bedtimes? Like, don't just stay up all night. You have to do this, not save their ass every time they forget something, bring them something, those sorts of things. Every single relationship issue, whether it's with friends or somebody else, you handle. Oh, you have a problem with your teacher? Mommy's going to call. F that. Like, handle it. You better handle it. You got to look somebody in the eye, shake their hand. I feel like some of these basic things can get lost. For instance, just this weekend, we went out to lunch for my father-in-law's birthday house, and I got aggravated with my daughter. And it was a simple thing, and maybe I'm being too much of a hard ass on it. But when we go out to dinner or lunch or whatever, and you're ordering, it is very important to me that they look at the server in the eye and they say please and thank you. Like, I don't give a crap. You do not just I want a Diet Coke. No, you do not want a Diet Coke. May I please have a Diet Coke, please? Like, whatever. Like, say please, say thank you. Every single time you acknowledge them, you look at them when they drop something off. They're not your servant. You know what I mean? And maybe it's the server in me that I'm really sensitive about it. Because I think everybody should work in a restaurant at some point, in some capacity, at some point in their life.
Yeah.
But Marley didn't. Now, she wasn't rude. She's like, can I have a Diet Coke? And I'm looking, I'm like, please, please, please. And I know it's a minor thing, but it should be automatic.
It should be
automatic. And I look at her, and Dylan did it. He's like, can I have this, please? And then says, thank you. And I look at her, and she's like, oh, sorry, geez. And it was one of those things where I am teaching you manners and politeness and respect for other people, even if they're in a service position. These things need to become automatic. And if you don't instill it consistently, in my opinion, because believe me, my kids, especially my teenage daughter, snarky mouth, right? Like, it happens, teenage attitude rearing its head. But it's just, I just want to make sure that my kid does the right thing when I'm not looking. I don't want you to just do it when I'm looking. That's what, that's who you are. Like, who are you as a person? And then how are you taking care of yourself? I don't know. I'm totally fine with throwing up an ADU. I don't know how my husband feels. I guess I should have that conversation. But I definitely think that we are going to have a fundamental change in how people live based on the reality of the economic situation in this country. You just can't depend on having a job and being able to afford life on your own. That's a lot to ask somebody. I mean, roommates are a thing, but you're going to have to get one if you think you're going to be able to afford, especially living in California. Another person that was kind of making headlines regarding parenting and raising kids and everything is the sexiest man alive, quote unquote, Patrick Dempsey. So he was giving this interview, obviously, to People magazine. And he was talking about, raising kids, and he has a bunch of kids. So let's see. He's the dad to daughter Tallulah, who's 21. Okay. He has 16-year-old twin sons, Sullivan and Darby. And so he was talking about raising teenagers. And I feel like we get this, Kim, right? When you first have children, nobody questions why you're home, right? They're infants. They need you. You need to be there for feedings and all those sorts of things. And then even as they get a little bit older, but when they reach high school age. Some people are like, well, why do you want to be home so much? He says it's Patrick Dempsey. He says it's harder raising teens than little kids. And this quote, I just absolutely love it. He's like, because you need to be around, but they don't want you around because they're fighting for their independence, which they should. They need to find out how they interact in the world. They need to learn these boundaries. They need to make mistakes. And you need to be there for them and allow them to learn from that.
Yeah.
Because and I just love how you phrased it, because it's so hard to justify. What do you need to be there for? Your kids just hanging out in their room all the time or doing this with their friends. Because when they come home and you ask about their day and you're able to pry some sort of information out of them, that's where the guidance happens. And I say it all the time. The reason I don't mind driving my kids around, well, I mean, it's annoying. Don't get me wrong. Because that's where the conversations happen. When my kids have their friends in the back and the music's on, you know what the trick that I sometimes do? I'll turn, because I can adjust the volume based on the front and the back.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll put the volume in the back so that they're talking louder.
And you can hear it.
But I don't have the volume
That's
in the
sneaky.
front.
I like it.
So they talk up a bit. I'm like, thank you. I can hear now. And not that I'm sneaking and they're talking. Obviously, we're all in the same car. But yeah, that's where you hear the conversations. That's where these, spur of the moment conversations happen. And I like that. It has to be that way. You know what I mean? Like you have to find your moments, because teens don't give you any. They are not going to come up to you and be like, can we sit down and have a talk about my relationships at school and with my friends and with my teachers? Can I talk to you about my worries and my nightmares and my dreams? I mean, I'm sure some of them do, but we don't live in Gilmore Girl land. Okay. We just do not. And so I take as many opportunities as I can to have those conversations. I mean, do your kids talk to you about everything? Because
Jacob's a talker. So he
so
gets in
Dylan.
the car.
So is Dylan.
He wants to unload everything.
Yeah.
He wants to tell me the whole deal. Sometimes
they're younger. They're younger.
I'm getting
though.
tall tales, but a lot of times I get the truth, or some kind of cobbling together of the truth. Then Julia, she'll talk to me. She has moments where she unloads. Right. But it's not right when she gets in the car. That's close to the vest.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's usually later in the evening when she will, emerge from her cave, and then she'll start, telling me about the day. Yeah. It's a little harder with her, but yeah.
Sometimes I have to flat out say it, like, we're going to talk about this. Like, this is the time I need to talk to you. Well, I've heard something, or I'm questioning something, or whatever. Like, we're going to have this conversation. And it always starts a little argumentative, right? It's like, yes, no, God, why do we have to have this conversation? But you have to have this space. And that's, again, why I love the car, right? You have to have the space and the time to just let it flow. And then all of a sudden, certain stories come out. And, and I have some parent friends that are like, oh, my kid talks to me about this. And I'm like, well, my kid doesn't readily talk to me about that. But it doesn't make me a bad mom or anything like that. It's just, I force conversations about things that matter, and other things she or he can take his time or her time on telling me. And that's fine, as long as it's nothing like criminal or dangerous, right? Or like if it's something like, oh, I heard your daughter's on drugs. Oh, we're having that conversation ASAP. Right. Or that they've done something wrong, or they hurt somebody, or they're hurting themselves. Those kinds of conversations. But if it's, basic teenage crush or fill in the blank type of stuff, if they don't want to tell me yet, they're allowed to have a little bit of privacy with that. I'm not going to, I would love it. I would love it if I lived in Gilmore Girl land, where every single thing that happened, my mom is the first one that I want to call. That's not the reality. And that wasn't my reality. I'm very close to my mom. Very, very close. So I didn't tell her the moment anything happened in my life as a teenager. Of course I didn't. And it didn't mean that we weren't close. It just meant I wasn't ready or didn't want to. And that's absolutely okay. And so I don't know. I just love Patrick Dempsey's quote on that. Because sometimes I'm like, what am I doing? Like, am I supposed to be home this much? Right? I do. Sometimes I'm like, am I supposed to? And then all of a sudden, when I do have to go to San Francisco, they are not happy. And it makes me guiltily, like, I'm like, that makes me, they're like, you're going to be home, right? And I go, yes. I will be
Yeah,
home.
they're used to having you home
They're
after the
used to
pandemic and everything else. Yeah.
They're like, you're not going away, are you? I'm like, I'm not going away. I will be home. And there's nothing better than actually being wanted by your children, right? Absolutely. Okay, so stay right here. Kim McAllister, it was a very busy day.
You want to come on with me, do a crossover?
A crossover? You need me to.
No.
It's a long day. It's okay. No. I mean, whatever. Okay. But stay here. I wait. Do you have the link already?
Oh no, I don't have. Wait, I'll find it.
You
keep talking. I'll put it in.
So Kim McAllister's filling in for Mark Thompson, and she has no one to talk to her.
So sad.
Although, what happened to John Rothman? You should call John Rothman.
He's on the show on Wednesdays. Has a weekly appearance on Wednesdays.
Yeah, but he could talk about other things with you.
That's all right. I'll be okay. Don't worry about it. I'll be all right.
Well, anyway, we should all just stay on YouTube, listen to the show, stay for the after party with John Daly. If you're going to San Francisco, by the way, and you're in any of the traffic, send me pictures. I would really, 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 really want to know if it's as bad as people think. I feel like it's like this Carmageddon thing where we warn people so much and then it's never as bad because people are heeding the warnings about not showing up. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the U.S. education system. There was a thread of teachers talking about how awful it has been, not just in interactions with students, but the parents and administration, where they realized, oh, I am not in a good situation. And we'll talk about, has there been a moment where you were at work and you realized, oh, I will be replaced like that and they don't give a crap about me, even though you are giving your blood, sweat, and tears to this job? Because that's a hard one. It's really, really hard when you feel like you're giving your all to a company and they're not giving it to you. Okay, in the comments, there is the link to join Kim on the Mark Thompson Show. So definitely join us. Click the thumbs up button if you haven't done it already. I'm trying to give you some time to set up. Click the thumbs up button to show your support for the show. We really do appreciate it. And thank you to Doug, who came in with a $5 super sticker. You can always donate to the show, either live or during the replay. We do go back and give all the thank yous there. Please consider signing up, though, guys, as a Medorable. Just don't think about it. Actually do it. How about that? This is your call to action. Go to thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com. We have links to everything there, our merch shop, all sorts of things, but our Patreon link is right there. You get to decide how much you can afford every single month, and we just appreciate it. We depend on you guys to keep the show going. We are 100% crowdfunded, and we really do appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you guys so very much. Stay here for the Mark Thompson Show and the After Party Live. I love you all. Have a fabulous day.
Thank you, Doug.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.